Hey everyone, welcome to Transient. I'm Eitan Reiter, and today we're going to remake an electronic track. It's called Satisfaction by Benny Benassi. And the reason I wanted to make a remake of it is because it's got this special bass line which I just had to see if it's possible to recreate. So did I succeed? Let's find out. We're going to go over designing kick drums, the track's arrangement, a lot of interesting synthesizer sounds, and stay tuned to see how that famous Satisfaction voice sample was produced and arranged. Okay, so first things first, the kick drum. So for the kick drum, I've used this Kick 2 plugin, which allows you to design your own kick drums. Here's one layer, and here's another layer, which is there to add a click. There are many important factors in creating a kick drum. One of them is the note that the kick drum actually ends with. And you can set this just like I'm doing right here. You can even check it with the tuner. And basically this kick sounds just like the original. Then I've added some effects on top like this decapitator. And next up is the bass line. It's made out of Silent 1, mostly out of noise and a sawtooth. The key thing here is the portamento time. You can of course download the preset and the whole project if you want to check out all the parameters. I've actually added some more noise on top using this vocoder, which is always a really effective way to add noise. The number of bands is actually what's going to determine the character of the noise itself. And then I've used a few equalizers, and some of them I've even automated. And this is what it sounds like in the context of the full track. But we're not done with the bass line. Notice that here it sounds a bit different. And to reproduce this, I've actually used a different method than Silent 1. It was actually made from a kick drum that's been looped very fast until it's becoming some sort of oscillator. For the previous high-pass filtered part of the bass, the Silent 1 did fit. However, in this part, this sounds a bit more accurate when it comes to the texture. Then I've used this LFO tool to create the compression effect. And last, to really get the sound right, I've used a few layers, each one of them giving the sound a bit more character. At some parts there's a sidechain effect between the vocal and the bassline itself. In this track, many of the sidechain signals are coming from things like the vocals or the snare drum, not necessarily the kick drum. Try using a sidechain compressor with other elements instead of only the kick and the bass. And the last ingredient of our bass line is this reverse type of sound, which is made from the bass itself with 100% reverb. And now for the fun part. For this you're going to need either a time machine, a very old Macintosh computer, or a friend like my friend Kobi Avraham, which helped with actually emulating an old Macintosh and finding the original program. And by the way, he also builds time machines. The program itself that they've used is called MacTalk. The version is 2.0, which is very important because each one of them sounds completely different.
Push me, and then just touch me, till I can get my satisfaction.
And then you have to select the type of voice you want to use, and go to Sound, hit Speak All, and Satisfaction.
Push me, and then just touch me, till I can get my satisfaction.
Push me, and then just touch me, till I can get
Of course,
my
they've done some editing on it,
Push me,
and not only editing to get the right rhythm, but also a few musical adjustments. I've actually had to tune certain words or even fragments of words sometimes something like even 1 or 2 semitones,
Satisfaction.
and other words I've had to tune very slightly, like this one here, which is tuned 40 cents higher than it was.
Push me,
And then, just like the bass line, this is also being looped at some parts to create a more intense pattern, and basically it's just this one word, push, that's being looped to create some tension. And the cool thing about it is this reverb automation. In addition to volume automations, reverb automations can be a really good way to move something gradually from the back of the mix all the way to the front. Try using reverb automations to add depth to your mix.
push.
Here are 2 compressors that are affecting the master chain itself. They're adding some punch and some movement to the overall track, and of course this may be a different setting than what they have used, but together with this specific mix, the overall result sounds the same as the original track. I've also used a few different layers for the snare drum in this track, because it sounds different in every section of the track. To get it sounding completely right, I've used many equalizers and some plugins like this vocal synth to add some extra noise, make it sound a bit more lo-fi, and also things like this very useful Bit Crusher plugin. Next up are the hi-hats. It was made from a 909 open hat sample. This is what it sounds like before the decapitator, and this is what it sounds like after. In the beginning of the track it sounds like this because it's got a few layers like this auto filter, which is then added to the original. And then there are a bunch of noises. It's very important to point out again that the only reason that I've used a few bass lines, a few noises, and a few snares and hats is just because I don't know which exact filter and compressor on the master they've used, and in order to get it sounding completely like the original, I've had to reproduce each section of every sound by itself. Again, the LFO tool is the tool that was used to emulate the compression, and the noises themselves were made out of Silent 1, while the cutoff setting determined their sound character. Here are some more noises. For this one, for example, I've used an arpeggiator playing a non-synced rate. And every time a note plays, it plays a kind of zap sound, which is made out of a noise oscillator, and the modulation envelope basically controls how sharp each hit sounds like. While making a sound of this type, I usually play around a lot with the decay and the amount and just try and search for that sweet spot. Here's another standard noise, which sounds way more interesting once you use a bit crusher on top. At some points I've also used a flanger. Because of the fact that every noise has such a wide frequency range, some effects are very noticeable when they're applied to noise. And this noise is actually there specifically to enhance the uplift itself, but we're going to get back to that one in just a few moments. And next up is this lead sound. It's playing the exact same thing as the bass line, only in a higher octave. It's made out of Silent 1, the key feature being the distortion. The main oscillators are this sawtooth and this narrow pulse type of oscillator. Both of them together, through a very fast LFO controlling the phase and the cutoff, are creating this sound. And of course, let's not forget the portamento time. And now my favorite thing in this track, the arrangement itself. It's a very classic arrangement. It starts with this high-pass bass line, and that's basically the first gear. Then it shifts into a second gear with this bass line, which is basically missing the first long note thanks to this LFO tool plugin. Then the snare joins, and only after the hi-hat. Next we're presented with this male vocal, which then shifts into the woman voice. And now we're shifting into third gear, where the track basically comes back with both the snare, the hi-hat and another noise layer, And for that extra build-up feeling in the arrangement, the first note is then being added and not subtracted. This is the one I'm talking about. Basically, there's so much to learn from the arrangement. As classic as it is, there's always a new combination of sounds. This is actually the first time in the track that we're experiencing both the vocals and the full range bass line playing together at the same time. But the vocal itself is still being played only as a loop, so we're not really getting the full impact.
Push me, and then just touch me.
Until now,
till I can
when it's
get
playing by
my
itself.
Satisfaction.
Then there's this transition part. You can notice the lead in the background while the vocal loop is in the front, until the track is being shifted into its fourth gear and the lead is completing the whole frequency range. And this is our second break, which I also think is genius when it comes to arrangement, because this second break is exactly like the first one, with the difference of the female voice being played before the male voice this time. And here's the uplift, which brings us almost into the fifth and last gear. It's going into a type of transition section where everything is playing together with this high frequency sound, and this is how the uplift itself was reproduced. For its first part, I've used Silent 1, playing a sawtooth wave with a lot of distortion, and the second Silent 1 layer playing this one note. And then for this part, Serum, which is a bit more complex, was used, and basically it's made out of two layers. Here is the first layer, which is just that high octave pitch sound. This LFO is controlling the pitch modulation. And the second layer is that noisy type of atmosphere sound, which completes the overall picture. It's playing a few voices to make it sound a bit wider, preparing us for the final part, where the vocal is being added again, and this is the first time where we hear the complete vocal playing as it should with everything else together. Basically the fifth gear.
Subscribe, just hit the like button for more videos and satisfaction.
And now let's listen to the full reproduction.
Push me, and then just touch me.
Quick reminder, the project file and the sounds are available for free in the link below. If there's a song you'd like us to remake or a technique you'd like to learn, please let us know in the comment section below. For more videos like this one, subscribe to our channel.
See you next time.
Satisfaction.
Push me, and then just touch me, till I can get my satisfaction.
Push me, and then just hit me, till I can get my satisfaction. Push me, and then just hit me, till I can get my satisfaction.
Push me, and then just touch me, till I can get my satisfaction. 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 Satisfaction.
Satisfaction.
like button for more videos and
satisfaction.
Push subscribe and just touch the like button for more videos and satisfaction. See you next time.